Alright, continue on with our solutions for the Mastery Quiz 4 review. Moving on to 13. These ones there, you get a table and it gives you the interval, and you get the average rate of change. So it starts where x is -1, and ends when x is 9. So these are our rows that we're going to use. You need to get the difference of these, and you write your fraction. Okay, so let's do -54 minus -12. And on bottom, we're going to use, we're going to do the top row minus the bottom row. So we're going to have -1 minus 9, which is going to give me -10 on bottom. And -54 plus 12 is going to give me 42. And you can reduce that a little bit, divide top and bottom by 5. You'll get, not 5, divide top and bottom by 2. So you get a -5 on bottom. On top, you'll get 21. So we're looking at -21/5. And then on 4, we have where x is 8 and where x is 24. Subtract the y's, subtract the x's, make your fractions. So let's do 96 minus 35. So notice I'm doing the bottom minus the top, and that's okay. And then you do 24 minus 8. And when you do that, see, 96 minus 35 is going to give me a 1. 61. Yeah, 61. And then on bottom, 24 minus 8 is going to give me 16. And I do believe that does not simplify, so we're looking at 61/16. And continue on to the next one, on 15. We don't get a table on this one. You have to actually figure it out yourself. Make your own table. So here are our x's. Use them. X of -4, x of 2. We need to plug both of those in for the x's to get the y values. So first one, -2 times -4 squared minus 3 times -4 plus 6. This piece right here, -4 squared, is 16. You times that by the -2 is going to give me -32. -3 times -4 is +12. And we got plus 6 on the end still. And that's going to give me -14. You can plug that all right into your calculator. But this comes out to be -14. And for my next one, -2 times the 2 squared, we're using this x value, minus 3 times 2 plus 6. -3 times 2 is 6, so we got, -3 times 2 is -6. So we got -6 plus 6, and then 2 squared is 4 times by 2 is going to be -8. This piece comes out to be 0. -8 is going to be my result for there, so -8. And now that I do have a table with my x's and my y's, I can subtract my y's. So I can do -14 minus -8. And subtract my x's to get my run. -4 minus 2 is going to give me -6 over -6, which is the same thing as just 1. So my answer is going to be 1. And this piece over here, whoops, crap. Yeah, we'll just disregard that for a second. Right, so your answer is going to be 1. Anyway, moving on to 16. Again, we don't have our table yet, so we need to make one. We have x value of -1, x value of 3. Plug those both into my function here. You got 2 to the -1 plus 2, and then minus 4 on the end there. -1 plus 2 is 1. 2 to the first power is 2. Minus 4 is going to give me -2. And the next one, 2 to the 3 plus 2 power minus 4. Well, 3 plus 2 is 5. 2 to the 5th is 32. And if you minus 2, you're going to get 28. So 28. And we need to get the rise over the run. Let's do top minus bottom. So -2 minus 28 goes on top, and then -1 minus 3 goes on bottom. So -2 minus 28, -1 minus 3, and that's going to give me -30. And then on bottom, -4. You can simplify that a bit, get rid of the negatives. divide top and bottom by 2, you'll get 15, and the bottom 2, so 15 halves. Moving on to 17, we have our x values again. We have x value of -3, x value of 0. We need to get the y values that go with them. So plug them into our function here for the x value. We're going to have 1/3 to the -3 minus 1 power plus 2. -3 minus 1 is -4. 1/3 to the -4th power is the same thing as 3 to the +4th power, which is 81. And when you add the 2, you're going to get 83. You can plug that right into your calculator to double check me if you want. And then my next one, we have to do 1/3 to the 0 minus 1 power plus 2. Well, 0 minus 1 is just -1. 1/3 to the -1 power is the same thing as 3 to the first. And we do 3 to the first, and you add 2, you're going to get 5. So now we got that. When you get our rise over the run, we'll do 83 minus 5 over -3 minus 0. And 83 minus 5 is going to give me 78. Bottom we got -3. And if you plug that in, you're going to get -26. So it simplifies out to be. Moving on to 18. Again, you need to make your own table. We have our x values of 1 and 4. When you get the y values that go with them, plug in 1. We got 5 times 1 squared minus 10. Well, 1 squared is just 1. 5 times 1 is 5 minus the 10. It's going to give me -5. And when you do 5 times, let's mix up a little bit, 5 times 4 squared minus 10. Well, let's see. 4 squared comes out to be 16, and you do 5 times that. So 5 times 16, it's going to give me 80, and if you subtract that 10, you're going to get 70. So that's the y value that goes with it. We need to subtract our y's, subtract our x's to get our slope. So you can do -5 minus 70, do 1 minus 4, compute that out. On the bottom you're getting -3. -5 minus 70 is -75. And if you do 75, well, -75, and you divide by -3, you're going to get 25. And that's my average rate of change. And moving on to the next part, which is all about domain and range. So on these ones here, if it's listed out just as these points here, the x values are going to be your domains. So, and it's just these select numbers. Make sure you list them from least to greatest. My lowest one is going to be -2, and then I got -1, and then I've got 2, 4, and 5 as my x values. The y values, on the other hand, are going to range from -6 all the way up to 10, so we got -6, -3, 7, and 10. When you're listing these, make sure you do it from least to greatest, don't do any repeats, and make sure you put them in the squiggle bracket. And this one is in fact a function, and that's because each x gets assigned exactly one y. And that's actually going to be like the same reason for these first few here on 20. Again, your domain is going to be your x values listed from least to greatest. We have -1, and then, oh, just kidding, -1's not the lowest. -11 is, so -11, and then we got -2, and then it's -1, and our last x value is going to be 3. Make sure you do from least to greatest, no repeats. And then our range, our lowest range value is going to be 4, and then our next one is 5, 6, and the last one is going to be 7. So those are all my y values, listing from least to greatest, no repeats. And this one, is it a function? And the answer is no. And that is because right here, -1 and -1, the x values are -1. It gets assigned different y values, so it's one input gives me 2 outputs. So there's that one. Moving on to 21, is this a functional relationship? Well, yes, and that's because it passes a vertical line test. Do a vertical line error, it only crosses once. So there you go, it passes the vertical line test. On this one, when you do your vertical line test, it doesn't pass. So this one's going to be, no, it doesn't pass the vertical line test. So there's that bit. Moving on to 23, Is this one a functional relationship? And that answer is going to be yes. And that's because each person gets assigned exactly one number of cards. So exactly one number of cards. And actually, when I get to the next one, it's practically the same thing. So this one's yes. And that's because each person gets assigned exactly one number of pairs of shoes. And that's actually the last of the review.